Tottenham is firing Igor Tudor, and a very unexpected specialist is coming to take his place. Alvaro Arbeloa is out. Florentino Perez has found a manager who will take the charge of Real Madrid. And there's a new Manchester City superstar. The English media have blown out with the news about a transfer for the Hotspurs. We are talking about all this and much more today, guys. This is Trueball Football and the most interesting news for today. Thank you for your support, for your subscriptions and your likes. English clubs refused to play soccer this week. Out of all English Premier League teams in European competitions, only Aston Villa won. Yesterday, the Birmingham side managed a narrow away victory against Lille. With only Watkins scoring the goal, Crystal Palace unexpectedly played to a scoreless draw at home against Ajax Larnaca. Nottingham Forest try as they might could score against Midtjylland, who are the champions of Denmark. The Danes scored on the road, and now they have every chance of advancing. With these results in European Cups, English fans started worrying that the English Premier League will lose an extra spot in the Champions League. But for now, the gap from the competitors is big enough that there's no need to worry. Separately, it's worth noting that Arsenal specifically is considered the favorite to win the Champions League. The Opta supercomputer gives a 28% chance that Arsenal will get their hands on the Big Ears trophy, followed only by Bayern Munich with 22%. Truth be told, it seems Arsenal will be the only English club in the Champions League quarterfinals. Assuming, of course, we get past Bayern, Chelsea suffered a crushing blowout to Paris Saint-Germain. Tottenham lost to Atletico Madrid, and Manchester City got routed by Real Madrid with a blowout score. Thou, but Newcastle despite a great game against Barcelona on the management at tight home. And Barca obviously on the strength their position in the matchup against the Newcastle. A comeback from a free goal defected. It's hard to believe. Oh, but in the Champions League, PSG is too good under counter-attacks. And honestly, it's hard for me to believe a fundamental, incredible comeback from Tottenham. And the citizens, meaning Manchester City, seem to be lacking some kind of, backbone or character. And Real Madrid themselves, even if they didn't show an outstanding game in the first leg against the citizens, after Fede Valverde magic, City went too soft and stopped even trying to do anything. Despite a brisk start, Newcastle will still put up a fight. But most likely, Arsenal will be the only team from the English Premier League. In the Champions League, big changes are coming to Tottenham. With club's management, it's not hard to guess why I want to switch from management. And Fairfield they plan to radically rebuild their structure. First of all, Spurs want to find a new sporting director. The main candidate for this role is considered to be Doggy Freeman, who worked successfully at Crystal Palace. He currently manages the Saudi club Al Dibah. Tottenham is also considering Thiago Pinto, the sporting director of Bournemouth. At the same time, the club's management is deciding who will lead the team in the remaining matches of the season. The appointment of Igor Tudor did not meet expectations. He destroyed the locker room atmosphere and only worsened the team results. He's grounded to be fired. Many English bookmakers have even stopped taking bets on it. And the odds of Croatian being sacked are approaching 1-1. Mostly likely, Sindic will be the new Tottenham manager. The management believes he can quickly fix the defense and stabilize the situation at the club. However, the bosses thought exactly the same about Igor Tudor. Ditch isn't ready to smooth things over with Tottenham for just a short term either. Firstly, the Tottenham top brass face fight negotiations with Scotsman. They have to persuade him and look for a compromise. It's likely that Tottenham sees Ditch as a manager for the long haul, but right now the primary goal is to save themselves from relegation. If Tottenham doesn't crash down into the championship, the Londoners will have to sell off key players, as the respected journalist Matt Law reported. Mickey van de Ven, Dominic Solanke, Conor Gallagher, Mohamed Kudus, Hadi Simonson, Archie Gray, Lucas Berval, James Madison, and Dejan Kuleveski are virtually grounded to leave the team in the event of relegation. It is worth nothing that a massive fire sale will happen even if Tottenham avoids relegation. The club's management acknowledged that the only way to create a new club must regain its top club status. This coming summer, expect the sale of Guilherme Vicario and Pedro Porro. Did you know that Tottenham other name is Hotspurs? Regardless of the season outcome, with the help of their outbound transfers, Londoners indeed to find the purchase of necessary soccer player. The club will also likely part faith with Cristiano Romero at Tottenham, or increasingly leaning toward the opinion that parting ways with Kuti will be the best option for all parties. Romero has clearly outgrown the current Tottenham, but also the club will have a hard time without him. Also, considering the defender's number of injuries, Romero hasn't helped Spurs all that much in the last 2 seasons. Real Madrid wants to replace Alvaro Arbeloa, the Jurgen Klopp, at the end of the season. This is Florentino Perez's big dream. The president considered the German the perfect candidate for the job. An experienced outfield manager with a clear playing philosophy, that's exactly the kind of person the current Real club needs. The club hasn't announced its plans yet, but there's a feeling that the German has had his fill of the general manager role and wants to return the coaching bench. According to available data, he's ready to swap his director tie for coaching tracks with only for 2 teams. The first is Real Madrid itself, and the second is German national team. And it's the only national team that will give Real Madrid the main competition in the battle for one of the best managers of our time, specifically for the uniquely gifted. I'm putting the proof of this news, like the proofs of any other news, on the screen. Take a look, click the link, and see for yourself that such news actually exists, and I'm not just making it up myself. Currently, the national team is headed by Julian Nagelsmann. He's preparing Germany for the World Cup in North America, which will take place this summer. Will he continue working after the tournament? That's a big question. Everything will depend on the result. In recent years, the German national team has been practically unlucky at the Mundial. Since winning in 2014, Germany hasn't been able to make it out of a group stage even once. For such a great national team, this is a real disgrace. Nagelsmann has been managing the team for 3 years already. The management during this time is the Euro quarterfinals, where the Germany lost to Spain. In the World Cup qualifying cycle, Germany looked pretty good, but there was a new, particularly no serious opponents in its path, so the Bundes team is currently more of the mystery than a clear project. They handle weak teams confidently, but as soon as they face a tough opponent, problems immediately start. This time, Germany got very lucky with the draw. In a group, not a single top club, not a single European national team. The strongest opponent is Ecuador, and they are all the way in the 24th place in FIFA ranking. Probably we should say thank you to Gianni Infantino for turning the World Cup into a semi-friendly tournament. If Germany doesn't make it out of a group, now the Nagelsmann needs to be fired right after the final whistle of the 3rd match. In turn, Klopp hasn't decided on his future yet. He needs to make a final decision on the after the World Cup. That's in mid-July if the Germany national team convinces him to take on the project. Somewhere out of there, only Florentino Perez will be a little sad because there are currently no options on the market that truly fit the requirements of Los Blancos. Even if you bring an Ancelotti back, the Brazilian national team is ultimately totally happy with him anyway. From a man to the Manchester City players, after the match against Real Madrid, answered journalists' questions in unison, saying like they believe in a comeback. It couldn't be any other way. Otherwise, we would have to admit they gave up. At the very least, the citizens, this is Manchester City, soccer players aren't posting anything on their social media accounts about Remontada, meaning the players themselves don't believe in their own fundamental, incredible comeback. Journalist Jack Gahun revealed that after the game, there was such gloom in the locker room, Manchester City. No one said a word. However, the players couldn't focus on anything. They didn't even have the mental energy to take a shower. That's how hard the defeat hit him. They got on the bus much later than usual, still in silence and still in shock. Pep Guardiola made excuses after a match. He's never been in the citizens' strong suit under Pep. It's just that before most of opponents didn't know how to get to City penalty area, and that's how powerful the team pressing was. Now, however, Manchester City plays somewhat differently and listens striving to play in a low block. It's just that Manchester City is almost worse than the mid-table teams of English Premier League. And here's it seems lies Guardiola's fault. Defense organization simply isn't his strong suit. Secondly, despite all the spending on defense, Guardiola for some reason still hasn't stocked up on quality defenders. On the flanks, he uses either center backs like Kusanev and Guardiola, or midfielders like Nika Arach and Matheus Nunes. The problem with the later two is that we just defend poorly. Defensive skills, especially regarding one-on-one situations, are cemented. At a young age, Pep can level up a global understanding of soccer, but local, let's say that is far as individual on fullbacks. Like these even thought the edges of the first line have been leaking for a second consecutive season. Probably Guardiola is overworked, and it's time for him to take a vacation. Even before the match with Real Madrid, the Spaniard himself said, "Yes, I know for sure after the stage I will stop." It's decided, more than decided. I don't know how long the break will last. A year, 2, 3, 5, 10, or even 15 years. But I will take a pause because I need to stop thinking about myself, about my body, about my condition. The job of a top manager is full of stress. It's surprising how Pep even lasted this long without a break. The citizens are pointing for a deployment into Maresca. After Pep departure, Maresca headed the City U23 team for a year, with whom he won the Yacht Premier League. He helped Guardiola as an assistant manager. Maresca is perfectly familiar with how everything works at Manchester Giant, and his soccer is based on Pep ideas. Since Michael Arteta is busy at Arsenal and Vincent Kompany is at Bayer, my English Giants simply couldn't find a better replacement for Guardiola than Maresca. Manchester City severely embarrassed themselves in the clash at Santiago Bernabeu. The team came out as the favorite despite the away area and was planning to tear the Madrid defense to shirts. Playing with particularly 5 forwards is proof of that. Such as an idea was playing off for a while. Man City created tension near Thiago Courtois' goal, but they failed to create truly clear-cut scoring chances. Either the pass would go wrong zone or a player couldn't control the ball. But man, the citizens starting fire quickly born out after a lesson from Fede Valverde. Team dissolved, and from that moment on they were particularly invincible. One of the most interesting questions is, who is to blame for what happened? Erling Haaland, who touched the ball no more than 10 times, the midfield, which failed to properly deliver the ball into the penalty area, the wingers, who those crosses flew to the wrong places, Donnarumma, who screwed up 3 times coming off too young team, which featured recent-born Flens and Crystal Palace players in the starting lineup. Seemed that the experienced Roger Donnarumma should have helped cope with the pressure, but the former can't seem to reach his optional condition, and later only added panic. And Guardiola was surprising too. After the match, he answered the journalist's question rather dejectedly along the lines of chance of first team, but they'll try. It doesn't look like the manager believes in his team will advance. This is already an alarm bell. Remember how Real Madrid announced their remontada against Arsenal, or how Barcelona talked about a comeback against Atletico Madrid? Perhaps this is his last season heading to the Manchester's team. At the same time, the management is working on the issue of refusing the squad with another top forward next of Ousmane Dembélé, who is one episode humiliated the entire Chelsea defense. The Frenchman's contract was expiring in 2 years, and Manchester City understands that this is a good opportunity for his transfer. In addition, Dembélé had problems with the head coach during the season, and the citizens have already held negotiations with Dembélé agent. Look closely. The proof is on the screen. What happened and how is not specifically. However, direct negotiations with a soccer player agent are a rather serious step in themselves, and most likely will want to move Frenchman not to a flank but to pair with Erling Haaland, because he hasn't played as a poor winger for a long time. Recently, he has been responsible not only for creating chances but also for vertical under Luis Enrique. This transfer will be useful for Manchester City in addition to all his positive playing qualities. The scene that exactly this quality is what Guardiola team's lacking right now. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and for subscribing to my channel. My name is Glaples. This is Trueball football or soccer, whichever you prefer. Please, peace or home, friends, and I wish everyone good training sessions and unforgettable impressions. Bye bye.